well, since you said you had some subjects, how about you start off?
Uh, I have a few. So, Yakuza
Yakuza.
as a series.
Okay,
I'm
not the
glad
game.
I got. I'm glad. I'm glad I got you into the game series as well. But like
Yes, I got all the way
the
up to like halfway through 4.
4 is considered by a lot of people to be one of the best ones story wise. I am of the mind that 5 is the best all around game they've made.
Well, I haven't quite gotten to 5 yet, so.
That's why I'm not saying anything about it. But bottom line is, they have new leadership at Ryuga Gokuto Studios, the people who made Yakuza, Judgment, and they also made a Fist of the North Star game, which was really
I
good.
have the Fist of the North Star game and have played it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh yeah.
It's the Fist of the North Star games that have come out on recent consoles. You didn't like Ken's Rage, and I get why. It was a Warriors game, but like seeing the Yakuza version of it, it kind of felt pretty similar in a good way.
It did feel very Fist of the North Star-y.
Exactly.
It felt more like I was playing a Fist of the North Star game than the Warriors one did, at least.
I think I think the Warriors one felt a little bit more Fist of the North Star mixed with a little bit of Warriors. But like they kept that. That's why the Attack on Titan game feels more like Attack on Titan than a Warriors game too.
I haven't
Because
played the
the
Attack
Fist
on
of the North
Titans,
Star
but
one.
I've been skipping a lot of the anime games, to be honest.
I know. I'm letting you know. Like the Attack on Titan game is based on you remember back in the 2010s, early 2010s, or mid 2010s, when Attack on Titan had an open source Flash game that like lets you use all the shit and everyone was blown away by it.
Oh yeah.
They basically took that style and ran to the moon with it. It feels exactly like you are a Jaeger.
Go around chopping necks.
Dude, like they give you slow-mo death kill scenes.
Oh, that's awesome.
But it's really good. You can use I think the best one is Attack on Titan 2 Final Battle, which is basically an expansion version. It's kind of like Extreme Legends for Dynasty Warriors, right?
I need
But
to actually watch beyond the first 3 episodes of Attack on Titan.
It's not bad. The message is kind of rough. Like I get there's an overarching point of like there's two sides to every conflict, but like totalitarian dictatorship, man.
Oh yeah, it just seemed like it was pushing towards that a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't want to root for that. You're trying to make me see both sides, but I'm not going to see that side. But
equivalency when you're seeing two sides, let me tell you.
Yeah, no, it ruins. Oh, because like a series like Gundam, if we're talking about both sides, right?
Right.
The original anime that made you see gray in war.
Well, Gundam was never afraid to show just how bad both sides can be.
yeah. Like obviously, Zeon was considered the villain. That's what I want to make clear here. Is Zeon was considered the villain. Char was considered the villain. He helped out in the second season, you know.
Oh yeah.
But the motherfucker, I told Izzy he dropped a space colony on the planet.
Well, you know, you get those false equivalencies too hard. You end up with those Death Note, Light is the hero, and we should all emulate him. People going on.
My god,
those people are. Oh, I'm just like, no, he's not the hero. He's actually just a serial killer.
Light is fucking insane.
Yeah. It's a great anime, great show. Main character, you're not supposed to empathize with him. You're not supposed to think he's a good guy.
Yeah, no, bottom line with animes like that. So, like, I haven't watched it in a while, but one of my favorite anime has always been Ergo Proxy. Now, not a lot of people know about this anime. It's a very well picturesque.
First couple episodes of it.
It's slow. It's complex.
I think that's why I didn't watch past it, because it was so slow that I was like, nothing really happened in the first couple episodes.
It's basically a showcase of the psychological duality of futility mixed with effort.
Oh yeah.
So like, why is the character doing this? just to relearn that they failed, you know? But they want to relearn that they failed so they can figure out how not to fail, but they'll just fail again. It's interesting. When you get anime that when you get anime that showcase a certain type of mental state in their main character that kind of overarches the series whole mental state, as you know, like every series in anime has its own state of mind. Like One Piece is surface level goofy happy fun. Underneath the surface it's complex, dark, and tragic.
I feel like with One Piece, it's just like it wants to show an adventure, and it's not afraid to show all the aspects that an adventure would entail. And I do enjoy
Right,
that.
but what I'll say is like you need to pick and choose certain episodes to figure out the ones that are tragic. Like, how far have you gotten into the series? I don't want to ruin anything.
In One Piece, I've
Yeah.
gotten a little bit into Wano, and then I was like, you know what, I gotta let it get ahead of me.
Okay.
So I've at
Perfect.
least seen Kaido's true form, and that's about
Okay.
it. That's all
So
I'll
what I'll say is, spoiler warning. In the Marineford War arc, nobody thought what happened was going to happen. Nobody did.
Well, one thing about One Piece and leading up to that one moment that happened, it took great strains to make it so that that thing had never happened before that moment. Nothing like it had happened, so it was extra shocking. And it went to like ridiculous.
They were building up.
It went to like ridiculous lengths not to do it beforehand. Sorry, I was interrupting you a little bit.
Well, no, the whole thing with it was like the arc before it, the Impel Down arc, the arc before that, the Amazon Lily arc, the arc before that, the Ines Lobby arc. All of these arcs built up that the hero's journey is going to culminate there, and Luffy's going to save his brother. That's the implication from what you see in that arc.
Oh yeah,
because that's the hero's journey, and Luffy tended to err on the side of the hero's journey before that arc. Every single time he'd get into a fight, he'd always find a way to eke through.
I mean, he still does, even in a lot of the newer arcs, but...
Well, like, there are only two people that have dealt him blows that he could not shake off, and that is Aokiji and Garp. And Garp is obvious for obvious reason, but those two showed up in the same damn arc.
Hold on, I'm gonna turn us down. No, actually, I'll keep us the same volume. I'll turn it down in post if we have to. But yeah.
But it's one of those things where it was a genius paradigm shift or sorry, bait and switch.
Oh yeah.
On what they would do. It showcased, and the arc was also meant to showcase the power of a certain admiral over the other ones, because like you notice how I already said spoiler alert, so I'm just gonna start talking about the names. I don't give a fuck. Akainu, because you already said fucking Kaido, so I don't care anymore. Akainu was front and center. He dealt the most devastating blow to Whitebeard.
I mean, I feel like we could say names and be generally vague about it. I think at this point, since they know we're talking later in the series, and we made it clear that they'd probably be like, all right, if we absolutely don't want to hear anything, we'll tune out.
Right. So Akainu was the front and center admiral. Like, Aokiji fucking froze the waves is the first thing he did. That was great. But then Mihawk showed up and just kind of babied that whole move by cutting the entire damn thing in half. Okay, he's out. He's not cool anymore.
Kizaru, because I know you said he was more powerful, but honestly, all Aokiji did was take out one person, which I don't know if that one person would have matched giant waves exactly.
What I'll say is he had comparable strength to Kizaru, but the problem is Kizaru is magma. That's heavy.
Oh yeah.
It's the same issue that comes into place with Smoker and Ace. They both are weak against his fruit power.
Yeah.
But Kizaru, I have a feeling, is the strongest, but he holds back because he doesn't really have much in terms of ambition.
How should I put this? I don't think that's the case because of the fight on Hazard Punk that destroyed the place. Because if he didn't have like any ambition for wanting to be an admiral or like pushing the admiralty in a certain direction, he wouldn't have left afterwards.
Well, no, I'm not talking about Aokiji. I'm talking about Kizaru. I switched over from Aokiji. Kizaru's the light guy.
Oh, light guy. Oh my god, I got the names fixed. I thought you were talking about the ice dude.
Yeah, no, Aokiji left and did something, and I think that he's I'm gonna guess that he's a double agent. That or Blackbeard's figured out something about the world that Aokiji needs to be around him to figure out. That's just what I'll say about
he's
that.
Definitely double agenting there.
I don't know. Well, I mean, they bait and switched us with multiple things before. Just keep it up in the air. But Kizaru has no ambition other than to be where he is and continue to just kick some ass. Because I think that he wants to be a foot soldier, but just at the highest rank of foot soldier.
Well, I think in one of the supplementary books they mentioned that he used to be a gang boss. So.
Oh yeah, no. Like, you look at who his nephew is, and like he runs things like it's a gang. Just yup. Akainu is definitely at least one of the top 3 strongest admirals at this point in time, though. And I have a feeling it's because his awakened fruit, because at this point, all of them have to be awakened. You know, they have to scale up.
Oh, yeah.
Is going to be stronger than the other ones. I think Fujitora might have a chance, but that's only if he had regained his sight.
Fujitora is a weird one because it definitely feels like after slicing his sight and like years of retirement, he's not as strong as he should be.
Well, see, my issue comes in that Garp is my like, for super strong elderly characters. You have Garp and Rayleigh in this series, showcasing that you get like you keep around the same level of strength, you lose a bit of it, and you.
That's the thing, though. Garp has stayed on the top of his game. Like he stayed in the position.
He has not.
Well, he's at least kept
position,
up
like
with
his body.
He still moves. He still kept it moving. Fujitora, he stopped for a while.
Oh, see, Garp trained cadets. That's not moving technically.
But he still did stuff. He still did.
Let's be clear. Training cadets that are definitely never going to touch your status is going to make you weaker.
I suppose.
Like, it'll make you smarter. It'll make you more tactical. And that's the big thing with Garp, is that is what he is now. He's not who he was when he fought Rock Zebek.
Well, I think just because he's on active duty, I don't think he would have ever just like let himself go. I think is the point I'm trying to make.
He has.
Even if he has like a considerable, I don't think on the level of Fujitora.
The bottom line is once Roger died, there was no reason for him to go as hard as he was going, so he slowed down.
And that's true. He did lose a lot of his motivation.
That was all of his motivation.
Oh, yeah.
Because like he had 2 pirates to beat, right? Because Shiki isn't canon, which I hope they make Shiki canon. But if as for now he's not, Zebek. He needed to beat Zebek. Everybody needed to beat Zebek. He needed to team up with Roger to beat Zebek.
I have no idea who Zebek is.
Roxy Zebek is the pirate captain of a majority of the goddamn emperors.
Oh, that's that pirate crew they were talking about.
Yeah, Roxy Zebek. He need Goldie, Roger, and him needed to team up at the peak of their power to be able to beat him by himself. He is the strongest pirate that we know of at this point.
Well, bouncing back, because I think we're going into like very recent territory, and you know how it goes with that.
Rock Zebek is actually a little bit earlier in Pug Hazard.
I think a little bit. I think it, with One Piece, just because they mentioned a character doesn't make it a spoiler.
I know.
Details are
like,
what makes it a spoiler.
I mean, I have theories, but that's for another ththing. I've shared mine with Izzy, and Izzy likes a couple of them.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, let's hear your theory about the hat inside the World Nobles.
I think that's Joy Boy in the empty throne. That or it's Monkey D. Dragon, which would make some sense because forcing conflict is the only way to enforce the people in his revolution to keep playing homage to the revolution while accidentally making it so that the world nobles and him still have power because he does it as the way to make it so that the people are appeased to a point where they won't revolt all en masse.
Oh, that's good.
I think that Monkey D. Dragon would make a lot of sense to be the king on the empty throne. That or the obvious one is Joy Boy.
Yeah. Who we don't know that much about.
Exactly, and that's why it's like, okay, the body shape, we don't know it. The hat, we know the hat has a big piece about Joy Boy, but it could just be that the hat's like a key or some shit.
Well, one thing a lot of people have pointed out about the person on the throne is, at some point with the opt-out fruit, they mentioned that if you sacrifice yourself, you could be immortal. Well, you would only know that existed if it happened to somebody, and that immortal somebody could still be around.
Depends. It depends. Here's a counterpoint for that, because bottom line is, legends and rumors have a lot more weight in One Piece's world than any other world in anime.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the only other one I can think of, which, by the way, something I want to cut over to at some point, is Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail's very similar to One Piece.
I got all the way up to the time skip with Fairy Tail. So.
Fairy Tail's pretty similar to One Piece. The only thing it fails on is that it doesn't have multiple islands. It has one continent, and that makes that by itself makes it so that it can't work as well, is what I'll say, as One Piece does. Because One Piece having different islands means you can change the entire thing.
Oh yeah,
every single island you go to. But like having one continent, it's a little harder to do, because they have to interconnect. People have to have trade routes. People have to make sure that there's cohesion between the nations. People like it's basically, if everything was Whole Cake Island, sure, it'd be interesting, but it'd be hard to put Wano next to Whole Cake Island.
Thank you very much.
Toriko's is the best way that somebody could do a singular continent. Let's be clear. Toriko is the best way somebody can do an interesting singular continent. Because I have no idea how they thought of it, but they just made the world cloudy with a chance of meatballs.
Oh, yeah.
And it was hysterically great.
I didn't like the food in Toriko, because for me it always felt so like alien that I couldn't like imagine it. Not like when I was watching Food Wars, where in Food Wars, like, the food is a little bit more realistic. I'm like, yeah, I can almost taste that.
That's porn food.
Was that?
That's porn food.
Oh, I know. But, like I can imagine with my fist on porn, I can at least imagine what the taste is in Food Wars. In Toriko, most of the food is so crazy alien now. I'm like, I have no idea.
It's not that crazy. So, like, for example, what did you think of when Rainbow Jello came about?
I thought of Jello with a bunch of different fruit in it.
I thought of a very vibrant, very well-crafted, very fruity Jello that makes sure that you can taste all of the fruits in sequence, but not all at once, so it ruins it.
Here's the thing. That almost sounds good, but with the way the power scaling and the taste scaling in Toriko works, it doesn't sound like it should be possible to be like 100 times or thousands of times better than the last thing they ate. And it's like, I don't know how.
But
I think the power scaling and taste scaling in Toriko is what throws me off, really.
The taste scaling is all relative. I'm going to be clear here. It's not about taste scaling with the anime. It's about, I think that it only really matters with the 4 Heavenly Kings. And let's be clear, because they're the ones that their body acclimates to the food and powers up because of it. So certain foods have a lot more to put into them than they would think they would. So it's not about like, oh, well, this looks better.
So basically, the foods are so powerful, us mere mortals can't comprehend them.
Well, it's kind of like if Yugi used the Blue Eyes White Dragon instead of the Black Magician, it wouldn't make a lot of sense. It's basically like, what is their food? There is their food in this universe. Like Coco has, like, the full menu thing is a very good way to showcase, okay, these are the foods that, like, if I eat them for the first time, they will not only power me up a lot, but they would go perfect on my menu.
But here's
because
the thing.
They have a lot, because they tie around their personalities, their natures, what their powers are.
And I
And that
somewhat agree to that, but it also feels like a lot of the times the reason why like lesser chefs don't have the a better full meal is just that because they never got to the higher levels to taste the better meals. And that
it's
always just
because they
felt like
couldn't kill the things. Like it's exactly that. Like almost every single character who can handle the gourmet world can handle everything in the basic world. Let's be clear with that. All right, that's just full stop. Anything in the gourmet world almost always trumps the basic world in Toriko.
and thus
The
tastes better. So and it's that whole power
dude,
scaling thing again.
dude,
So
no, not necessarily. I'll be clear. BB corn for Toriko tastes better for anything that is not BB corn in the other world. Because BB corn coincided with his gourmet cells.
so you're saying if he
That's
comes across even better popcorn in the future, it won't taste as well.
no, it needs to be BB corn.
All right.
That's the thing here is it needs to be a specific type of thing because it works and it synergizes with his gourmet cells because that's what it's about. Is hey, which
Gotta find the
food.
right food for you.
Oh yeah, no, it's basically what the metaphor is, I guess.
I
Is
guess
like you
it
get a
just
bunch of
sometimes
you
it
get a
feels like Dragon Ball Z power scaling, but like with taste and stuff. And I'm just like, it
sometimes, but
starts to
not with
get a little
taste.
alien for me sometimes.
No, it's sometimes, but not with taste. It's with the power scaling near the end of the manga.
I guess.
Gets a little insane. There was a whole move where they just fused their arms into a big fist. It was really weird. But like the power scaling for the mode where he borderline starves himself and then learns to be grateful for any food he receives and get as many nutrients as he can out of it. So he basically forces his body to pull the nutrients that it wouldn't usually pull out of it.
Mm.
That's an interesting way for a food anime to give a protag power.
Oh yeah.
Another interesting thing he did. What did he do when he was in the middle of the goddamn winter tundra? He just shook real fast.
Oh yeah, because
Creative dude. I don't know. It's as bombastically crazy as One Piece, but on a continent.
yeah, I
And the
know.
food looks good. And most of them you can imagine what they would taste like. There are some that make
There's
no
a lot of
goddamn
them
sense.
that I can't. It's just every once in a while they'll just eat something that I'm like, I can't imagine this at all.
Oh,
Not
I
even
know,
a
but like it's
fraction of it.
fantasy. Like it's fantasy though. But like I guarantee you, there's a goddamn marbled pig wandering the fields that just makes me so happy because I'm like, wow, that's kind of fucked up but beautiful.
Like I can
It's
imagine
already
what a marbled pig tastes like. But like there was one when they were in the sky eating that one fruit that they have to eat this at the same time, that veggie.
yeah.
And it was the gayest scene ever. I'm just like, I can't imagine what that tastes like at all. Like I'm like, what
Why
does
would it,
air
dude?
vegetable taste
I'm gonna
like?
be clear. Komatsu definitely has a thing for Toriko.
Oh no, definitely gay. The gay.
But let's be clear, Toriko does marry that one chick who shoots out scents
Oh yeah.
at the end of the manga. So
Oh,
three-way?
you know what?
Devil's
Kamatsu
three-way.
always struck me as a cuck anyway, so you know.
No, it's Devil's three-way.
Oh yeah.
Two dudes.
Well, you know, Toriko and Kamatsu share everything, so.
But yeah, no, like it comes down to this too. Komatsu's just a better chef. He can prepare things on a level that other people can't. It's stated he's the greatest chef in the anime.
Oh yeah.
And the
There's
he's
a
able
reason
to.
why even the most hard-ass hunters in the world are like, you know what? I'll devote myself to protecting this weakling.
Oh, they try to steal him.
Oh yeah, they actively tried to steal him.
They try to kidnap this man.
Mr. Everyone must adapt to me, proceeds to then adapt to Komatsu, and I'm like, you know what? He's good enough.
Attempt to adopt Komatsu.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Toriko's an example of a really good anime. They pushed it hard when it came out in anime form because the first episode, guess what it was? It was a special with One Piece.
Oh yeah, that.
Yep, that was the first episode they did, and it was really cool. It was a Toriko-based island that the Straw Hats found.
Oh, I'm sure Luffy and Sanji were ecstatic.
Dude, like Sanji was stoked as fuck. Luffy ate a bunch, although I think that he can only eat about, like, he can't eat as much as Toriko because Toriko has the biggest appetite in all of anime.
Well, Toriko can actively digest things faster than most humans can.
Oh, like by the end of the series, he could eat a universe worth of food because like he hasn't like you've heard of hunger demons in the anime, right?
Yeah.
Okay, he has 3, and one of them ate the other 2,
Oh, jeez.
and it's like the big boy, just like yeah, sure, fuck you, whatever. I'll give you a little bit of my power, you a little bit. She's basically like if Naruto's Kyuubi grew balls and they dropped so hard on the ground the table underneath flipped.
Yeah.
Like, dude straight up was like, I'll give you a fraction of my power, and Toriko was able to almost tear the universe in half. Just like, okay, who the fuck? What? That no. But
So,
it like
okay,
mhm.
so we're talking about this is actually one of the 2 subjects I want to talk about, and I'm kind of swerving a little bit to like action anime in general with this one, because I feel like
Right.
this Toriko is starting talk is starting to just go in how big is Toriko's balls big, but
Yes.
um for action anime, what kind of action scenes do you like?
What do you mean specifically? Give me some context.
So I was thinking, usually when people talk about action in anime, I've noticed that they tend to like a specific kind of action. I kind of have, I've been kind of mentally forming this like little triangle graph of 3 different kinds of actions that most anime can kind of be, action scenes can kind of be, well, placed on that little triangle graph. You know the little triangle graphs where you place the dot based on,
Yeah.
yeah. So I find that most action scenes either focus heavily on one of these 3 things and they kind of maybe focus on other ones as it needs. I find most action scenes are either heavily kinetic, which is usually the martial arts of the scene, and focus mostly on that. Usually heavy strategic, so you know stuff like what JoJo's does, where it's all thinking, very little actual action, and then a
Right.
lot of particularly shonen action scenes, love the emotional aspects of battles, where even if the battle itself may not be so good, it usually has a lot of emotional weight to it. And usually when I find when discussing battle scenes, I've actually learned recently that it's actually better to start uh like when talking what kind of action scenes people like, it's good to discuss with those 3 because it kind of helps, because usually when people discuss what action scenes they like, they usually can't figure out why they like it.
You forgot one of them. Rose tinted glasses style. Usually, those ones are ones that aren't considered generically good today, but would be good to somebody based purely on the fact that they think of them and they remember shit.
Sorry, what kind?
Rose glasses style.
Rose glasses
Like,
style.
yeah, that's like
Nostalgic.
I don't like saying it, but like
I think rose
Super
glasses
Saiyan
isn't like
Goku
an
versus Frieza.
objectable.
It is an objective style. Frieza versus Super Saiyan Goku. Yeah, that one's a big one for me in rose glasses style. So yeah, that one
That
is.
one had a lot of that emotional weight to it, though, so I would put it on the emotional scale. That
I
that's
I
that's what a
I
lot of
would
people
put
love
garbage
about that
fight.
one, and that's what a lot of people remember when they're thinking of that one. So even if the
Right,
fight itself
like
it wasn't very smart or very like
right, but
good
what I'll
martial
say is
arts,
rose glasses can be by itself or with others.
I
That's
feel
the
like
big
rose
thing.
glasses kind of exists in its world aside from that.
I don't
Because
know. Like another good one is, I look back at it and most of Yu Yu Hakusho is that.
for Yu Yu Hakusho, actually Yu Yu Hakusho was one of the ones I wanted to think of. A lot of the early fights, in particular, and this is kind of shows why, like, I feel like some of the best fights usually have at least an aspect of at least 2 of these instead of just one. A lot of the
Right.
early ones for Yusuke specifically, I know some of the other characters get a little bit better fights for that, but Yusuke a lot when he's fighting the arc bosses, usually what'll happen is Yusuke will get the shit kicked out of him one-sidedly by the arc boss, and then all of a sudden something will happen, Yusuke will get an emotional boost and then like one shot the arc boss At least for the early ones. Some of the later ones get
No,
better,
that's
but
not. No. It's every single goddamn
it's
one.
every single one. And it's like, yeah,
I like
emotionally those fights are pretty good, but it's so lacking in the other two things that it's like,
you know
ooh.
what? You want to hear a real kick in the pants? It lost the tactics.
They
You want to
lost the
know what I
tactics.
mean?
Yeah.
When he was fighting Hiei, what do you think he did to win? He didn't
Uh,
have a power boost. He used a tool, a ring that he did not know about, to shoot another extra powerful beam into the mirror
oh yeah.
that he was using to power himself up instead of at Hiei. And Hiei did not expect that, and it bounced off and hit Hiei in the eye.
And that was both emotional and awesome as fuck on a strategic
That was
level.
good. That was good. Or the entire Genkai arc
I
was
think
really solid.
and this is I was thinking about this like earlier today because I was watching Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer best parts, the best fights in Demon Slayer. What Demon Slayer does really well in its action scenes is the kinetics. A lot of their action scenes put the kinetics first, to the point that like you know how most animes when they're having a strategic moment, the time will stop and you'll have the character thinking about what they're gonna do before they do
Yeah.
it. In Demon Slayer, it never stops. It keeps going. Even when Tanjiro is thinking of a plan to fight the enemy, it keeps going with his thoughts going above it, and you can like actively see him change his movements while he's thinking, and it's so freaking great.
There are a couple of series that have done that.
There are a few, but like, sorry, and let me go on my little Demon Slayer action rant. And I think this kind of leads to one thing I've noticed is that I find a lot of reviewers and this is I feel like a mistake on the reviewers and why I want to bring up this like triangle when talking about these three things. A lot of reviewers seem to like only think of the emotional attachment to fight scenes to see whether they have relevance. Because with Demon Slayer, a lot of people, and you know what? I know a lot of people prefer heavy emotion things, and that's fine. That's the popular thing to put in fight scene. But like
Right.
with Demon Slayer, there was this one fight against the Arc boss that switched it up and put a lot of emotional significance on it. You know, a lot of flashbacks to the past and why this is important to the characters and stuff. And
Yeah.
that became the most popular fight scene that everybody knows and started watching Demon Slayer and made Demon Slayer the most popular thing. And I was like, that was good for that one fight. But I kind of noticed, and now after that arc boss came the movie, and during the movie, it was pretty good about keeping moving during the action scene. It was like the Broly movie where, like, once the fight started, it started and kept going. So I didn't really notice them putting the emotional parts, like, into it as heavily because, like, well, it gives, like, a brief break to this nonstop action. So I didn't really notice, but in this recent arc, Tanjiro was fighting an enemy, and it just stops in the middle of the fight to show his training to learn this new move he was learning. I'm not gonna spoil what it is or what's going on, but
So they pulled a Rurouni Kenshin.
yeah, and I'm just like, why are we stopping? You've never stopped before too much. It just kind of sucked me out of this fight that they were having.
Well, let's be clear here. Like, don't make any illusions that Demon Slayer is not a shonen. It's not gonna be like Afro Samurai, which is nonstop.
It has been nonstop until now, though. I always thought that was great. And Jujutsu Kaisen, another recent one, was pretty nonstop with a lot of its action scenes.
But
and
they can't go for a prolonged series doing that. It becomes tired. It's the same as any other style. If you just stick to your one style, it doesn't last for as long as it could. That was the problem with My Hero. It's going to end next season because of that.
And you know, I think it's fine to switch up the styles, but I feel like when you did something super good, if you like suddenly try to go too hard into one style that you were maybe not as good at, it can kind of trip you up. And like obviously the mix up is fine, but I think to a certain extent you should do what you're good at, because Demon Slayer, as I hear, is actually not that long of a series, so you don't have to switch it up. It's not like One Piece.
I mean, trick here is we can't. First off, we can't use One Piece as relative
I know.
for length because that's one of the longest
And I
anime.
will say that one original scene with the arc boss where they added the emotional elements, it was great. It's just great. But now it feels like they're trying to do it for every fight. And it was
If they,
great for the one fight, but maybe not good for some of the more other fights. You
well,
just go back.
all you're stating right now though is your own thought on what those should be. Let's keep in mind
And
that there are
I'll
people who
admit,
prefer. Let's keep in mind that there are people who do prefer to have that emotional arc more up front
and I do
because
agree with that, but
that's what Dragon Ball is.
I sh-
Almost every time there's almost always an emotional arc for the people in that.
so here's
Or
the
in
thing.
Bleach.
That's good for Dragon Ball Z because that Dragon Ball Z's always been good at that. But I think, how should I put this? Art shouldn't homogenize into all just emotional battles. You know what I'm saying? Not all anime
Right,
should do emotional battles.
but it shouldn't all just be nonstop action either.
But for Demon
That's
Slayer,
why
Demon
One
Slayer
Piece is
was
better
good
than
as the non-stop action show as it was. That was what Demon
no.
Slayer was. If I wanted my emotional stuff, I'd go watch Dragon Ball Z. If I wanted
The
to go...
bottom line here is you're the one who stated that they need to go together most often. So like, why are you?
I'm saying they need to go better, but I feel like they've went a little too hard on it, and they ended up tripping themselves a little bit. And I think is what I'm trying to say.
But you said it was good. But you said it was good.
It was good the first time they did it. Now they're doing it for every fight, and now I don't think it's going as good.
Also, you're just dictating a distaste and a style that you don't like. But the bottom line is,
I'll admit,
I bet you they're fine. They look fine objectively.
Oh, the actual action parts, like when they were like cutting back to. Honestly, I feel like
cutting back.
I feel like it would be better if they showed the training beforehand, and then like they had shortened it a little bit, the cutting back.
Maybe, but here's where I'm gonna cut in. What they're doing is better than what Naruto did.
Oh my god, Naruto was the worst.
At least they did not wait an entire series later to cut in with split up episodes with no context. At least they're giving you context, which adds weight, which adds a point.
Oh no, the context in this season's been kind of pulling out of their ass a little bit. But
well, I mean, that's shonen in general, man. That if you're looking for context in that aspect, then that's not what you're going to find. But bottom line is the context of the movements, of the training, of all these things, they are relevant in any fight showcase. So you could put them in almost any fight showcased. That's a big rule in anime like that. That's what they did with Rurouni Kenshin when he was learning the ultimate technique of Hitamitsurugi. They showed his flashback to his childhood, his life growing, being found in a graveyard of dead people where he buried all the people he loved who were massacred. They showed flashbacks of these things because emotional arcs fit into almost any fight scene as long as...
it's great. You can have emotional arcs. I just feel like some series are almost good for just like emotional arc before and after the fight scene, not during the fight scene.
I don't think that we should relegate Demon Slayer to that formula because we've done it before and it's caused destruction at the end, like that happened to Bleach. That's what happened. That's what happened.
Bleach was always weird.
No, Bleach started out pretty solid. And then it started not allowing itself to split off and do other things ever. It just stayed on its singular formula.
So, my problem with Bleach is not that it stayed on the singular formula, it's just that it didn't end when it should have. And that's the point I was trying to make with the Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer is not a long series. It's probably going to end before it gets tired.
But it wouldn't have had to have ended where it should have. Or nobody would have had that opinion if they had switched their formula a little.
I don't know. Not every series can be One Piece as it goes, or even just Dragon Ball Z.
One Piece is an aberration. One Piece is all the formula is finally working in cohesion somehow. And Dragon Ball is pure rose-colored glasses for a majority of people. And I've acknowledged that.
Oh, let me tell you, a lot of people were giving me, a lot of people were pointing out, bad shit in Super, but, a lot of the shit they pointed out in Super, in the original run of Dragon Ball Z, were applied to the original run of Dragon Ball Z, a lot of people forget that in DVD releases and reruns, they've touched a lot of shit up in Dragon Ball Z, and I think a lot of people are thinking of the better
I mean,
versions.
let's be clear. Even the touched up stuff isn't good.
So, like, everything
But like,
I'm just thinking, like, when the DVD touched up DVDs of Super come up and all of the problems are fixed.
but we're
Most of
deviating.
the problems are fixed. Are people gonna still be complaining about Super's animation problems?
Right, but we're deviating here.
I
Like,
know we're
I've acknowledged
deviating.
that Dragon Ball is a rose-colored glasses machine.
Oh, I know.
It is the father, not the grandfather of shonen anime. The grandfather is Fist of the North Star.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think that it's fair to relegate an anime like Demon Slayer to one category like that. I think that you need to give it time because they said they'd make more.
Well, like I said earlier, there was a lot of strategizing in earlier fights. They just did it while the kinetic parts were still going. So
Right, so you're on the roller coaster. You got to allow yourself to hit all the dips and valleys.
I suppose. And you know what? Maybe if not all fights work for me, it's fine. Maybe if this recent episode 5 fight people like, it's fine.
If
I
it's
just,
not for
to
you, it's for
me,
somebody.
it felt like for a brief moment that it was like dipping to some, like, it got
If
a little
it's
boring a bit where I was like,
if it's not for you, it's for somebody.
yeah,
What
I
I'll
suppose.
say here is there's a comparison I can make in Naruto. I didn't like Naruto versus Sasuke's first big battle. I thought it was garbage. I thought it was stupid. I thought it was cringy.
Which first big battle?
The one at the one at the waterfall, their first big battle, the one
Oh, where
where
they're fighting each other? Yeah.
yeah, the one tail Naruto versus Cursed Mark Sasuke. I didn't like it. I hated it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought it looked dumb. I thought that the entire premise was dumb, but it had potential to go someplace, so I let it slide.
A lot of people
Now,
love that fight.
as opposed to that, I'm not going to act like I know better because I can read the future on the fight. I'm going to act like I know it was a bad fight because I saw where they went after.
Well, here's
And
the thing.
Sasuke devolved into a garbage character. That's why I'm going to act that way. So what I'm saying is you got to wait.
Well, here's the thing, and I know that, like, because, you know, I like my kinetic fights. Those are my favorite types, as you probably guess. But even I know that just kinetic fights gets boring after a while. Have you watched the God of High School anime, which, by the way, one of my favorite webcomics? They cut out so much of the emotional context.
They cut out so much of the fight. Yeah, I know.
So much
I've
of the
read the
emotional
entire
context and just put the kinetic parts of it in. And, you know, for the first couple of fights, it was awesome. But after a while, I was just like, yeah, okay, you could give a little context to these fights or strategy.
I mean, that's what happens when you give that shit to Crunchyroll to do.
Ugh.
It shouldn't have been Crunchyroll's bag. What
That's
I
not
will
even
say
the one
is
that pissed me off the most. The freaking Tower of God one is the one that pissed me off the most because I love. That's
Tower
my
of God's
favorite.
so combo. Let's be clear though. Tower of God I can understand a little better than God of High School. God of High School is a little less complicated to work on than Tower of God. Tower of God is a complicated
That's
fucking
true, but that's why it was so important that you get it right.
But like, let's be clear. Once again, Crunchyroll. As I was gonna say, if you're going to give it to any company, you give it to Kodokawa. You give it to Kodokawa and you shut the hell up. Because Kodokawa makes good shit.
Crunchyroll
Crunchyroll
really needs
does
to
not
just
make good
stay.
shit.
It needs to stay as the middleman. Is what it needs to do.
I mean, it doesn't need to bother with any of that shit anymore. You know why? Because that and Funimation are owned by Sony, so they don't need to give a fuck. They have a monopoly.
Fair enough. But I don't know.
That's the bottom line here. Is like anything made by them is going to be well. Funimation still has a rep in Japan, so they may make something good every now and then because they have to. But Crunchyroll doesn't need to give a shit. They're based here, so they're selling to weebs, and they know they are, so they're going to curtail to them. Basically, they're going to say this is what we're making, and then they can cut it up as much as they want and then ship it to you. Basically, a tiny piece of cubed bread instead of a loaf.
Yo, yeah.
It's garbage, and it's Sony's fault. I'm looking at my PlayStation right now with anger in my eyes. But like Sony and Microsoft are conglomerates that are just out there to make a buck. And it's definitely showcased in the fact that they keep trying to buy up all these properties and these companies and shit. It's power plays.
Oh yeah.
And they don't need them, but they're doing it so that they can get a monopoly because monopolies are not illegal in the US.
Technically, they are. No.
There
I
are
know.
2 out of 2,500 types of monopolies that are illegal in the US. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
You know, less than 100% is still a percent. Or less than 1%, sorry.
Yeah, it's just.
Now, I think. What's your favorite introductory episode of an anime?
Ooh, favorite introductory anime. See, I hate questions like this. What's your favorite? Because it's like, oh, I'll say something, and then I'll be like, wait a minute, there was like 10 others I like the most.
What's the one that sticks with you no matter who asks you or when they ask you? That's a bit easier way to phrase it.
So, sticks with me, like, just as an introduction to characters. I mean, Naruto did a pretty stellar introduction that always stuck with me. I always liked their opening to Naruto. What? Let me think. I guess recently we had the rankings of kings. That introductory episode was pretty top notch. Really sold what main character was and what he was going through. I don't know because I always think of like first 3 episodes. You know what I'm saying?
See, I'm of the mind that Yu Yu Hakusho might have the greatest
Oh,
introductory episode
Yu
in
Yu
the anime.
Hakusho. Yeah, see, I wasn't even thinking of that one. That one was fantastic.
Dude, that one makes me cry. Yeah, like everyone forgets that boy's 14.
Oh yeah.
Like, and nobody realizes like he's basically a child soldier.
On the flip side, I forget One Piece's first episode even exists most of the time.
One Piece's first episode is awful, and I will fight anybody who says it isn't awful because it's awful. Like, the anime is one of the greatest, and it is easily the most popular anime of all time. But the first episode is awful.
First episode of the original Dragon Ball, fantastic.
First episode for a woman shoots a child. Yes, I love it.
I love it too. It very much. Dude, it sticks
It's
out.
dumb.
It sticks out.
That's one of the things I miss is like you realize like at the end of Dragon Ball that like it's kind of a mix, right?
Yeah.
It's comedy action.
Yeah.
It's why Hitman Reborn was so popular when it was out because
Oh, I miss Hitman Reborn. That one was great.
it's why Gintama was so popular because they mixed action with comedy in a really really good way. And that was Dragon Ball set the way for that too.
Yeah.
Because that was like nobody realizes this, and I just barely got Izzy to start watching it. He's not a big fan, which is okay. I get it.
Trigun,
When
at least for a while, was action comedy, and then it just kind of turned into action after a while. But
its English voice acting was rough, and it's not like I want them to redub it because Johnny Young Bosch, that was his first voice role,
oh
and
yeah.
you can tell. It's very easy to tell that that's his first voice role, and that's it's not his fault. It's just it was a I think early 2000s voice role, and it was his first one. It's not going to be good. You know, he found his niche with Ichigo and ran with that. But like Vash was a problem for him.
You know, I always feel like shonen action just they don't mix it with other genres as often as I would like. I remember Madoka Box was one that was a while back that was like it was started off as a slice of school before it's turned into this weird ass action series.
They have a couple like yeah, they do have a couple.
I know
The one
Jujutsu.
where the
Sorry.
Irregular Magic High School was a good one.
I
Like that's a
I remember that one being kind of rough.
that one actually people like,
I
and
know
it's
people
pretty
like.
solid.
I know
Uh,
Jujutsu Tyson. I keep bringing this one up because it's one of the best action series in a recent
have
one.
you
Had a lot of
there's
horror
a
aspects to it that I absolutely loved when it did.
there's a recent Chinese series called uh Daily Life of the King or whatever,
Oh yeah.
and it basically dictated a child who was strong enough to kill God. He did it, hid the fact that he did it, and then went about his daily life trying to hide his power. It was basically Psyche K, but with a little bit more seriousness.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's on Funimation. Go ahead and watch that. That's fun. You'll like it. You like Psyche. Psyche's another one, by the way. that's just pure comedy, but this one is kind of like that thing that you're looking for, where you're being like, I want it mixed with something. So I think that'd be good.
I mean, freaking One Punch Man. That one's more comedy than it is action, but the actual action scenes are still pretty awesome.
Well, they're bringing up more stuff about the seriousness in that series now in the webcomic too, because it's getting more serious.
Oh, yeah, Mob Psycho is like that too. And I think that's
Which
just the way
which
one does it.
well, I think Mob Psycho is serious now. Like, there's a
Yeah.
limit to both the Saitama's power. There could be a limit to it. Like, they're
Both
showcasing
series
that there
deal
might
with
be.
some heavy like ideas and mental situation. So it's like after a while you just can't treat those things lightly.
Well, what I think a big thing here is, Saitama's whole point is that he's a parody character of superheroes,
Oh
right? So
yeah.
he's more powerful than any character in the universe that he finds that's the
One
strongest.
describes Saitama as a character at the end of a shonen action show dropped at the beginning of one. That's how one describes Saitama. He's at the end of his action series dropped at the
So
beginning.
my trick here is like, because he said that way before when he was going to end it way earlier too.
Oh yeah.
One was originally going to end this way earlier, back way before Gato. Actually, he was going to just be done after Boros, just to showcase, because that was why the fight was so bombastic. That's why Boros is still the strongest character he's fought up to this point. But there are two characters that might be able to rival him right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, obviously,
Uh,
I've also noticed with the last season they didn't. Saitama was barely in the last season.
well,
Like he was.
that's the whole thing of it. Is the
Yeah.
world cycles around everybody but him, and then he comes in to tie up the messes, and that's the problem with the formatting of the show.
Well,
It
that's
doesn't
also like
belong.
brought in a lot that like the heroes can't tie up their own messes, and that's like a major theme of the show. That like, what do you do when you're just not strong enough, man?
But what kills me is that, like, later on, they sure can. Do you want to hear what Tatsumaki does to a super god level demon?
Oh, it probably ties it up in a knot.
She tears its cells apart piece by piece
Yeah,
until it's nothing.
but
Apparently,
I need
so
to read the webcomic.
it's
Sure
good,
enough, we're not
but
gonna get
like,
more anime after that last season. Ugh.
yeah, but yeah, no, Blast showed up.
I'm sure it'll be great. So
Uh, he's definitely stronger than Saitama possibly at this point,
did
because like the powers he showcased are on the same level as Saitama.
did did Mob go past the season we seen? I can't remember.
We had more than one season of Mob Psycho.
No, I'm of the recent season of the webcomic. Or no, not the
Uh,
webcomic. Is it manga or webcomic? I think it's a webcomic.
it's
It went before One Punch Man, so yes, it is a webcomic.
yeah, but like bottom line is like Mob got super serious by the end. It didn't just deal with like the comedy aspect of him having all that power. It dealt with the fact that he was alone. He was lonely, and he learned how to get past that. That's like a real thing.
Yeah.
So I would put that outside of the comedy category actually. Make that more of a dramatic and emotional thing.
I mean, there's still plenty of comedy.
Oh yeah, but you can have comedy, but like One Piece isn't by itself a comedy.
Yeah.
Like the Dragon Ball isn't by itself a comedy.
My favorite part of every arc of One Piece is to figure out when it stops being a comedy. Which episode
It's
is where it stops?
it's pretty easy. Whenever they do a slow-mo scene, it's not a comedy
Yeah,
anymore.
the moment they do a slow motion scene, it stops being a comedy.
Like, that's legit. Look, every single time it's slow-mo.
so,
But
as if to
that's not a,
emphasize the turning of the genre, we will now slow this moment down so you can register what's happening.
yes. That or it's time to have an emotional switch.
Oh yeah.
Slow-mo.
Either
But yeah,
that,
no,
or it's when they meet that one plucky character with the really tragic backstory. One or the two. One
yeah,
of those two.
that one character that looks hysterical, and it's like, I actually look hysterical because awful things happen, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, now I feel awful.
Now here's my
Sorry.
backstory to make you feel bad, and why the arc villain is the worst person in the series so far.
Yep. Yeah.
So far. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm starting to notice some themes. One Piece may be the master of not wear and tearing over long periods, but it's still wearing and tearing a little bit. Just a
I
little
mean,
bit.
well, I mean, yeah, because there is no perfect anime.
Oh, there's no perfect
And
anime.
like as we said, One Piece has an awful beginning episode. So like it has an awful season one.
I don't
Like it
know.
doesn't. It honestly, it doesn't. Like it has a twinge of wanting to pick up by the time it gets to Usopp's Island and deals with the guy that almost kills his like beloved friend, who he never talks about again. Really.
One Piece
Um,
doesn't really pick up until I'd say they meet Sanji.
I disagree. Arlong.
Arlong is when it really gets into stuff, but I say it starts picking up at Sanji. It starts the
Arlong.
train.
Don Krieg sucks.
Don Creek
Arlong.
sucks, but it was still a
Don
good
Krieg
arc.
is nope. Don Krieg sucks.
All right, fair enough.
Like he is so shitty. Like they could have done him so much better. I have all these weapons. It's like he came from the Grand Line. Why doesn't he have stronger weapons?
Ugh.
Well, I couldn't make it in the Grand Line. It's like, okay, even if you're borderline Grand Line, that doesn't matter. You should still have better weapons. But he didn't. He's just like, I have a spike shield. Haha. All right. I also have an explodey spear. Why do you have all these handheld weapons? Why don't you have a gun? Get a gun. What the fuck?
Just get a gun.
Jesus Christ. Me, like, obviously you're not going to be swinging that spear like Mihawk and cutting a wave in half. Get a gun. I don't know. Don Krieg was very disappointing, but Arlong, they brought his character arc back later on and made it mean even more.
Oh yeah.
So like for me it starts like the good starts at Arlong Park. Like that's when it got real.
That's true. That is when it got real. I don't know.
Cuz like it brought in racism, man.
Oh yeah.
Like it started talking real shit
You know
about
what?
race.
Do you know when I realized One Piece was gonna get emotional on me? When they were kicking the dog in the buggy arc. So literally,
Dude,
I know
like
it's a little
anime,
heavy-handed. It's a little heavy-handed, but you know what? It was the first indication that maybe One Piece isn't so goofy.
nah, the dog lived.
I know.
It's irrelevant if the dog lives.
Oh, it's irrelevant. The dog's owner didn't, so thank you very much.
I know, but that he died off screen. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, everybody died off screen in the in the first half.
Except for like, you know, Nami's mom, where they showed the goddamn scene.
They show her getting injured. They didn't show her dying. Thank you very much.
They showed her ass dying, man. Okay, they showed her getting.
I don't know. I haven't watched that scene in years, so I can't tell you either way. I don't remember.
She got shot in the head. It was pretty gruesome, honestly. Like, no, there's nothing like that in that series arc. Like, Eno's probably a close second, purely because of the fact that he's his story, not what he does. Like the fact that he lords over these people like a god is interesting, and his power level like is high because like he knows one form of hockey, but like if he learned another, I'd have to think that Luffy'd be in for a world of hurt.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no. The bottom line is there wasn't a lot. I like that they brought back Bellamy later. I wish that he would have joined the Straw Hats. Would have really liked to see a Flexi Boy combo team. The only thing that was good in the Sanji arc was when Zoro met Mihawk, and it didn't even have anything to do with Sanji or Krieg.
It was still a good scene though.
Yeah, but it had nothing to do. So I could argue that it's not even part of the arc because it's at the absolute end, and it has nothing to do with either. like it was a good scene, but like, okay. a good arc was Thrower Bark. Because
Thriller?
we got to know Thrower Bark because we got to meet our first Wano swordsman.
All right. I don't know. A lot of people don't like Thriller Bark.
I think Thrower Bark is relevant because not only does Brooke showcase that there's a bunch of pirates that sailed in the old days and they could learn more about them, we learn about specifically Ryoma. And in the future, we learn that, spoiler warnings, Zoro might have a connection to Ryoma's family.
Yeah.
So, like, that's relevant. That's heavily relevant to the future. Anything that happens and is super relevant to what happens later is a good arc in retrospect.
You mean like Zoro fighting Mihawk?
Except that was outside the arc, so too bad. If it happened in the arc, maybe that was good. Yeah, if it didn't happen at the end. You could make an argument that was still part of the arc, but no. But no.
Hey, remember, Oda never forgets. Who knows? Maybe Don Creek comes in and sits on the throne.
Oh, they've talked about the guy Kuro. They talked about bringing him back.
He'd be a weird one.
They've mentioned that he just left to go get stronger so he could kill Luffy.
Dude, having a villain devoted to actually killing Luffy instead of just going on his own journey does sound pretty interesting. Because, like, every other villain we've seen just kind of went off and did their own thing.
Well, Cypher Zero, because Lucci is doing the same thing. And so
but Lucy is still doing his own thing as part of Cypher Zero, even if he does want revenge against Luffy.
Right. I want Kuro to join Cypher Zero.
Ooh, that'd be good.
Yes, it would make sense. Ino needs to come down from the damn clouds because he's not dead.
You mean Eminem? That's what everybody calls him. They just call him. They just call him anime Eminem.
He's too tall.
Too tall.
He needs to come down because that's a power scale that, like, I want to see what happens when it comes down.
Inu was way too powerful for Luffy. Luffy just had his kryptonite as a body, so it was Inu.
Oh yeah. No, Ino is he's almost admiral level in terms of his powers. It's just he doesn't have any of the hockeys other than basic like observation. Well, so like he'd lose hard to any admiral.
You know, I love that fight with Inu just because it kind of flips on the hand. Usually it's the heroes trying to figure out their way around the villains. That fight was the villain trying to figure out his way around the hero. I loved it. Such a weird flip.
Yeah. One of those things where you just can't...
And you know what? It added a puzzle element to the fight that One Piece doesn't usually do. Flying back to another thing we were talking about.
They do.
They do.
I mean, usually if they do, it's Nami, but they do.
That's one of the reasons why I usually like it when Usopp and Nami fight. It's because they bring a different type of fight to the show.
I just upset that Robin doesn't use her murder hands anymore.
Yeah.
Like where she snaps her neck.
It's not like she ever gets into any big fights often. She's usually just there. Which is weird. Like, I know she fought that flag dude on, during Don Flamingo's, Dressrosa, but other than that, I can't think of any major fights she, like, did.
Yeah, not me either. They kind of, there was the, she fought somebody in, the Fishman Island arc. Everybody did.
Yeah, but that was such a wash that I barely count them as fights. To be fair, that was always such a
because you know the three supernovas of the Luffy team, which is basically Luffy, Sanji, Zoro. People think that she's like the secret fourth member because she's just that powerful.
I know, which is why I want to see her actually fight. Like, I want to see her get into a real fight, not a washout, like, and not a like in the Dressrosa fight where most of that fight was done by the one-legged dude anyway. So I'm just like,
yeah,
I want a real fight, start to finish, all Robin, all good. That's what I want.
That's fair. That's fair.
Just one. You don't have to keep doing it. Just one.
What I think needs to happen is Kaido's son needs to join Luffy's crew. And people are already hinting that it's probably going to happen. And it better happen because he wanted to join Ace's crew. He didn't get to. And if they don't, it's going to be stupid.
God, Luffy's crew is growing fast, quick.
Well, I mean, bottom line is he's already considered the 5th emperor. He better have, he has a fleet of over 10,000 people.
Much to his dismay. He doesn't even want it.
Yeah, and that's the best type of person to have that kind of power, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, bottom line is they're wrapping it up. It's gonna go for a couple more years, and then it should be trying to finish.
During the final battle, the fleet's gonna show up, and Luffy's gonna be like, "Ugh."
Well, but there's also the Revolutionary Army that needs to be reconciled. The Empty Throne. The nobles.
I think we got at least like 3 more arcs. Minimum.
That's minimum. And their major arcs is what you mean. So yeah no. Yeah,
well,
that's one.
I will say, wrapping up with the Navy and the Revolutionary Army might happen in the same arc. Probably. We don't know. Depends on how he goes with it.
Yeah.
And obviously, what the fuck's going on with Shanks?
I mean, any of the emperors, like Blackbeard, we don't know.
Blackbeard's weird. Somebody pointed out that Blackbeard's a weird character in that he's very simple in what he does compared to what a lot of other characters do.
Yeah.
And that is almost what makes him more shocking than like any other villain, is just how simple a lot of things he does. He chases Luffy on a freaking raft, no grand plan, he just chases Luffy. He just beats up Ace, no grand strategy, nothing sneaky. When he's in Ample Down, he just walks in and takes over a lot of stuff Luffy did and just took over. He's just like walked in and is like, "Yo, everybody who doesn't want to join Luffy, why don't you join me?"
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to, he's not going to be the final boss, is what I'm going to say. He's going to be up there, but I doubt he'll be the final boss now.
It's hard to tell who's going to be the final boss. A lot of people are saying, it's going to be Akainu. I'm like, no way. Not him.
It's not going to be Akainu. Like, I've already stated, like, I think it's either Joy Boy or Dragon.
Joy Boy or Dragon?
Yeah.
One of those two. That would be good.
Yeah.
It would be interesting because if we want to arc with the Revolutionary Army and Dragon is actually against Luffy, it would be pretty interesting if Dragon could somehow figure out a way to get the Revolutionary Army on Luffy.
It would be.
And that would be a pretty interesting arc because a lot of the Revolutionary Army are friends with Robin and Luffy, but they might be more for the cause.
Yeah.
Like, I think Ivankov and Sabo might not fight them, but beyond that.
I think Sabo doing a heel turn would be a good choice. Spitting in the face of Ace would be a good story arc choice.
It would be a good story arc choice, and I will admit, Sabo is kind of a mystery character to me. I can't get a read on the guy.
Well, they kind of brought him in a little bit late.
I know. I feel like if they brought him in just before Ace died, I think that would have been a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because it kind of
because they would have had a couple arcs to deal with, like, the concept of him existing and being like, all right, where'd he go, or he's dead, or whatever, and then he comes back after 2 major arcs.
Because it kind of feels like Oda got rid of Luffy's brother, only to turn around and be like, surprise, he had another one.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, like, obviously Oda's writing isn't invaluable. That's not what's on trial here. But, like, the way it turned out, it's still really good.
Oh yeah, no, amazingly. Yeah. And I'm
like,
sure once we get into more details with Sabo, we'll get some more cool shit with him. But as it stands right now, he's a little bit hollow.
Yeah.
Of course, a lot of the Revolutionary Army I can't quite get a read on. I know Dragon himself. It's like obviously he could be what you said, simply because we don't know much about him. He could
Well, there's a
literally be
Revolutionary
anything.
Army. Well, there's a Revolutionary Army member that oversees the East Blue. So is that the most powerful member of the East Blue right now? That's my question.
Wasn't the East Blue where Sanji's family
Where
came from?
that's where all the weakest fights happened because it wasn't the Grand Line.
Oh right, that's where it started. Uh,
Yeah. So like, there's a Revolutionary Army member uh, hanging out over in the East Blue. Are they the strongest East Blue character?
I I don't know. Probably.
Yeah, it's just like, if they're going to do a war, it looks like they're doing it all over the Grand Line.
Here's my question that I've always wondered: what was Shanks doing over there?
Uh, Probably chilling.
Seems weird though. Like Shanks got his own.
Well, you know that Roger grew up there, right?
I suppose.
Like all
It's
these.
possible that's where Shanks was when Roger recruited him too. I could be part
Well,
of it
it's
too.
it's Journey's start, the area.
Yeah.
It's basically your start area for a lot of major characters, because you start there and then you go to the end of the line.
I'm just saying, when I'm level 50, I don't go back to the starting village just to hang. Okay,
I if it's your reality, you probably might,
probably.
just so you don't have to worry about people jumping you.
To be fair,
That like
that didn't really shake out for Shanks either, Mr. Lost an Arm.
I mean, that wasn't a person. Let's be clear.
To be fair, that was a starter monster.
I mean, it might not have been. Bottom line is
Luffy
this:
literally punches him
how
later.
power. Like, the question is, was it the same monster?
I don't know.
Because like, there could be this different kinds of the same.
Oh, you think the one that ate Shanks' hand had hockey or something?
I think the one that ate Shanks' hand caught him by surprise.
I don't know. It's hard to tell like how tough people get in One Piece, because for me it's like, do they have the Dragon Ball no cell like weaker shit? Probably not. But at the same time, hockey. Like,
Well, I mean, there's obviously the showcase that like Oda did not think the series would go on this long originally.
that's true. I'm pretty sure he didn't even think about hockey when he was ripping Shanks' arm off.
Oh, I think he thought of hockey. That was because bottom line is Shanks used hockey.
Yeah. But,
Like, Conqueror's hockey was.
maybe not the armor hockey though.
No, he used Conqueror's hockey.
Yeah,
He didn't think that.
maybe he didn't think of the armor hockey at the time though.
Uh, there are a couple characters that showcased it a little bit. I think the almost obvious one is when Garp came about, but they had it a little earlier on in the series.
Hard to say.
Observation hockey was the one that took a while to get to.
But
And seemed to come
observation
out
hockey
well.
was also the one that was shown the most in Skypiea, so
Oh yeah, but it felt like they just figured out that they want to put it in there when they did.
fair enough. But who knows? He knows what's going through Oda's mind.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah, no, bottom line.
the person who sits on the throne is actually Gorilla C Luffy's long lost twin brother.
Yeah.
Could be, we don't know.
Could be.
Oh well, I think that's gonna be the wrap up.
Yeah.
Alright, well. Anything you want to say at the end? We started with
Nothing
One Piece, we ended with One Piece.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I think that's fair. This is the One Piece stream, basically.
We got some other animes in the middle.
Yeah.
Alright, well, I hope y'all had fun. Bye.
Bye.